pretty passionate about this issue of marijuana.
Well, there's several levels. I mean, we can talk about the very basic level. Is I've always been a firm believer in the legalization of all drugs.
All drugs, not just marijuana.
All drugs. I think that we're spending much too much money and time, and many people are going to prison for unrealistic sentences, and I think that we need to just take a different approach to the war on drugs. Right. There's that level. Marijuana, in particular, I find is a benign drug. Nobody's ever died from overdosing on marijuana. Thousands of people die from taking aspirin each year, and yet there's never ever been a single death from too much marijuana. I've had law enforcement officers tell me that they don't come in on a domestic violence call and the guy's sitting there smoking a joint.
Doctors recommend marijuana to patients who have cancer, correct?
Yes.
And some other types of patients. How does marijuana help them?
Okay, and then that's the highest level, and that's where you can become the most passionate, because the use of cannabis as medicine is an area where there has not been a lot of clinical studies. It's mostly anecdotal studies, and part of the reason is because the FDA won't approve it, even for clinical studies. It's not just the THC in the cannabis that has the medicinal qualities, but it's the combination of the various cannabinoids, which include the THC, which gives it its medicinal benefit. And different combinations of those cannabinoids will produce a different type of therapy. For instance, the THC itself is very good for appetite stimulant, and that's why Marinol is a good product for that particular, for anorexia or someone who has cancer and can't eat. But things like muscle spasms and things of that nature, the THC really isn't the component that's really giving the therapeutic benefits. It's the combination of the other cannabinoids. And so you can have it for muscle spasms, you can have it for migraines, glaucoma. As a matter of fact, I've had physicians tell me that it's good for treating asthma. Because it opens up the lungs and the throat. Besides
changing the marijuana laws or changing all the laws that relate to drugs, what are some of your other hot buttons, your passions?
I'd like to see the idea of rehabilitation coming back into the prison system.
Rather than warehousing?
Rather than warehousing. I'd like to see, I'd like to not be fearful that if I have a client who's going to go to state prison for even 16 months, the minimum, that he's not going to come back out affiliated with a gang.
Right.
And again, it goes back to the gangs were created because of this war on drugs, and they're strengthened. So again, it kind of comes back to that. But to see a change in the people's attitude towards individuals who do end up in prison, and to try and give them some hope as opposed to despair. I think that a lot of these people had a rough start.
Sure.
And
it's made even rougher.
And it's made even rougher.